All right, it's guilt, grit, and grace. So these are 3 G words that have followed me through every single chapter of my life. And most likely they have followed you too. Welcome to SHE-Lutions, where we just don't talk about problems, we create solutions. I'm your host, Dr. Lena, the Entreprenista, and welcome back. Thank you for spending some time with me today. All right, I've been on this kind of ruby red slippers piece for the past few episodes, and we talked about the story of Dorothy, who she had on her ruby red slippers the entire time. She just had to remember that she had to click them to go home. Sometimes we have to do the same thing. What we need, it's inside of us. It's been there all along. So all of the episodes are personal, but today's episode right now is really, really personal for me. In fact, it almost didn't get recorded. I mean, it's been a struggle with relaunching and talking, but today it was hitting home because, for the past few years, I've spent time where I've been carrying around these 3 words with me: the guilt, grit, and grace. Even from a small measure, I've been feeling guilty this week about not being as productive. But guess what? I've had 2 deaths in my family and immediate circle and a chronic illness that I'm dealing with and still pushing on. But for some reason, just so guilty that I'm not where I want to be. I still, though, had grit because I kept going this week, kept going, kept pushing. And grace is the thing that I think is most tender for us because we still have to learn. It's a process. It's a thing we're all probably still learning. We have to give ourselves grace through everything we're going through, right? Just for the fact that we showed up. People see us, they see social media, they see the stages, they see the businesses, they see the projects, but they sometimes don't see us for what we're doing, how we had to start, where we started from. Maybe sometimes how we question ourselves. Am I too late? Did I miss the moment? Am I missing moments all the time? Do you ever ask yourself that? That's that guilt. Maybe that's why you heard me and kept on for today. All right, so guilt. Guilt. Say it enough time. All right. So grit is actually a gift. It is a gift. It isn't cute, but it is a gift because it can keep you alive. Unfortunately, you will hear me say this a lot. Social media has made resilience look glamorous, but it's not. Resilience is about getting things knocked down, and building all the way back up from the foundation. I mean, it's like rolling around on the ground, snotting in your car. Like, I got to pull this together. Maybe by ourselves. Grit is maybe figuring out how to pay the bills while still helping everybody else. Getting your heart broken and refusing to let it harden your spirit or harden the person that you are. Walk into the rooms where people are underestimate you. You're the only one in the room. They're not going to give you the respect you need and still showing up. That's what grit is. And so why I say grit can sometimes save you is it's that resilience. It's that time for showing up. And so I remember one time I showed up at a meeting and I was in a leadership position in a male-dominated industry. And at the end of the meeting or in the middle of the meeting, the individual that was leading the meeting pulled me aside and said, "Would you mind not wearing your red lipstick anymore because you're distracting everyone in the meeting?" So bottom line, it was already a hectic day. And at that point, I could have just crumbled to the ground and walked out. I mean, this was someone who was leading the team, had influence on the team. But the resilience, the grit in me said, hey, let me just take a look at him. The answer that I actually gave him was there's couches and medication for what you're dealing with. But it still impacted me. It still made me have to take a moment away. I had to go straighten up my crown, straighten up myself in the bathroom, and still step back into the room poised. That's grit. We always celebrate, or people celebrate victories, but we have to celebrate those moments where we just don't quit. I could have quit then. I really wanted to. Sometimes just showing up. It's not winning isn't the greatest accomplishment. It's just showing up could be the greatest accomplishment. And even though we don't want to be in survival mode, there's seasons where we are going to just be surviving through the grit, and we need to acknowledge that. Have you ever survived a divorce, some financial hardships, a loss, betrayal, disappointment, or just life? We all have. And as we mature, we can see that it continues to happen. So I talked about the other day, talent, and discipline outdoes talent. Talent might get you through the door, but grit will keep you in the room. And sometimes it might not be graceful. It might not be without scars, but you made it, you're here, and that's worth acknowledging and honoring. Let's talk about this last G word, and I think that's one of the most difficult, grace. It's tender, really understanding, giving ourselves grace. We move through the guilt. We keep on our grit to stay there and be resilient. But I am always constantly working on doing things with grace. I've extended grace the majority of my life to everyone else around me. I've mentored people. I've opened doors for people. I've given people second and third and fourth chances. But many times in giving grace to other people, I haven't given grace to myself. Can anyone relate? If you can. So you got to take a moment that understanding if you can forgive someone else in a heartbeat, but you keep replaying your own mistakes for years and years and years, looking in that rearview mirror, being guilty, that's not giving yourself grace. Ask yourself, what would happen if I spoke to myself in the way that I speak to the people I love? Hey, you're doing the best you can. It's okay that your timeline looks different. It's okay that you're showing up in this moment, not how you want to, but you're still showing up. Thank you for not giving up. What if grace is not letting ourselves off the hook, but we're just acknowledging that we're human? Stop chasing perfection. And that is something that I absolutely do every day. But chase peace and give ourselves grace. And peace can look a lot like accepting that the universe and God can still write a beautiful story with the pages watered, logged, and torn out. Think about a time that you've done a comeback, whether it's a minimal comeback or a large comeback. My sister one time coined me the comeback queen, and I have done comeback from many, many different circumstances. Been homeless twice, lost everything multiple times. If you're striving to be extraordinary, understand that there's going to be some turmoil in that. And I have played the guilt in my mind. What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? But it's the sheer grit that kept me coming back. And now I'm kind of sprinkling in the grace to take all of that together. I'm still showing up. I'm still here. I'm still doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. You have on the ruby red slippers, click the heels and go home. So before I get off with you today, I just want you to kind of resonate with these questions. What guilt have you carried for long enough? What guilt do you need to release? What part of your story proves that you have grit? When have you done something that now that we talk about it, you know you've just been resilient. You've been amazing. And you need to understand that you have that grit and give yourself grace. And sometimes you just have to say simply, I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now. And I honor the woman who survived. And I welcome the woman that I'm becoming. Because we're not doing shame anymore. We're moving into a phase of healing. Guilt reminds us where we've been. Grit carries us through to where we are. And grace gives us permission to become who we're meant to be. I want to challenge everybody to become that person that you're meant to be. So thank you for spending some time with me today, a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. If this episode touched your heart, share it with someone who's been carrying guilt, who has the grit, and needs to perhaps give themselves more grace. This is SHE-Lutions, where we stop surviving in silence and we start healing out loud. I'm Dr. Lena Graham.